Hi Martin. How are you doing? Rollercoaster year?
Yeah, definitely a roller coaster. I had a lot of tracks. One of those tracks was Animals, and that had meant a lot for my career.
And when you were producing Animals, did you know it was something special? Or?
When I was producing Animals, I had no idea it was going to become so big. And I knew it was a good track because it got stuck in my head, and while I was working on it, then when I was in my bed later, the melody was stuck in my head. But it was, for me, it was just another club track, and I make like electronic big room house music. Not really the intention to get the tracks played on the radio, and then suddenly the radio picked it up and we started charting, and we reached #1 in the UK, and it all started rolling, and it's crazy.
What was the thing you were most proud of? #1 UK or maybe US, breaking the top 20 over there? Or?
Yeah, we have the highest charting instrumental track ever in the US history.
Yeah.
And of course the #1 UK, that's crazy because the UK is something, everybody looks to the UK charts, and for me to reach that with an instrumental track is unbelievable, and I can't wait for the other stuff which is coming up. I've been a lot in the studio lately, also a lot on tour, and I got so much new music coming up as well, which I'm super excited about, so I can't wait till everything gets released into the world.
That's good. Well, before we go into the new tracks, just a little bit of history. You started playing the guitar really young, right?
Yeah, I started when I was like 6, 7, and I played it for 6, 7 years as well.
And how come you picked up the guitar when you were 6 years old?
It's because of my dad. My dad played the guitar as well. My mom played the piano. My sister plays violin. She plays the piano and she sings. So I've been raised in a very musical environment, and because of my dad, I started playing guitar as well. I just started messing around and I followed lessons. And then after a couple of years, I installed a program on the computer so I could produce my own stuff and put the melodies which I created on my guitar inside the computer and work them out in actually tracks.
And when you started playing the guitar, were there certain guitarists or maybe songs that you would like to play?
It sounds very weird, but I was playing a lot of classical guitar, also Spanish, because I really like the fast Spanish music. And then after a while I played almost everything. I played in a band for a very short time. I just played the stuff which I like.
And well, you said then after a while you bought some software on the computer. Why were you interested in creating music with your computer? How come?
It was two reasons why I got interested. One of the reasons was I made the melodies on the guitar, but then I had like this cool chord progression or something, and it was just a chord progression which stayed in my head and maybe on paper, but nothing really happened with it. And when I downloaded the program on my computer, it gave me the ability to put the ideas which I had on the guitar in the computer, create tracks around it, and create songs around it, and share my music with other people.
What sort of songs were they that you actually, the first guitar-based songs that you put in your computer, what sort of songs were they? Were they just normal, let's say, pop songs, or?
Yeah, it depended. I made like bad-sounding hip-hop stuff, some pop stuff. I even tried to produce some trance, but it sounded shit. Yeah. Because I had no idea how the program really worked, but I just tried and started messing around with it, and until like 2 years ago, I never really had somebody who was teaching me how to produce. I just was messing around and taught it myself by watching tutorials, and that was it. In the beginning it sounded complete shit, but after a couple of years and after a lot of practicing and finding out how specific things were working, the tracks started sounding better. I got some recognition by some Dutch artists. Then a little later I got recognized by Spinnin' Records, then by Scooter Braun, and then suddenly everything started rolling.
But for me it's interesting to see where you made the transition from just playing the guitar at home and then actually the music that you make now. Were you really interested in the sort of music that you make now, the club and house music, or was it something
I got in touch with electronic music in 2004 when I saw Tiesto performing at the Olympics. Yeah. That was for me a very, very special moment because my mom was like, Martin, there's a Dutch DJ performing at the Olympics, and at that time it was a super big deal because DJs weren't the rock stars there right now nowadays. Like nowadays you can see them in talk shows, and when you put the radio on daytime radio, you can hear DJs their music. And you couldn't imagine that a couple of years ago. And at that time my mom was like, Martin, check this DJ out, DJ Tiesto is. And I heard the music and I really liked it, so I started buying.
Why?
I don't know, like the beat, the feeling, the kicks, the tempo, the rhythm, like the feeling it gave me. And for me, it's very important that music gives you a certain feeling. And Chester was definitely one of the guys who gave me a special feeling with his tracks. And I started buying his CDs, started buying compilations, and I started trying to produce it myself.
Okay, so that afterwards, then you try to produce your own club and house music.
Ja, ik zet mijn telefoon uit.
Yeah. And well, that is 10 years ago actually right now.
Ja.
The first song that you made, with the music that you make now, the first song that you actually thought, well, now this is getting somewhere. Do you still recall the first song?
It's a track. It's called Violins. Sorry. And I was so happy with the track. I sent it to Spinning Records and to all kind of labels. And currently I'm signed to Spinning Records. At that point I was like super convinced it was a super good track and I could release it. And I even had a friend of mine sing the vocals. Like we recorded it super bad, low quality. And we sent it to label, and unfortunately we never got a reply. And I found back the project file like a year ago, and now I understand why the label didn't reply.
Why?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like good, but you can hear the ideas. And funny thing is, Animals was one of the tracks where I took an old idea, which I made like three years ago, and reopened the file and made a new track around it.
So maybe you should do it more often.
Yeah, I'm trying to do it.
Okay, good. Well, then afterwards, you mentioned Tiesto. How important was it? To meet him and to work with him. Was it special?
First time I met Chester in real life was at Tomorrowland last year, and the funny thing is we were already in touch with texts. We Skyped very often about music, but also about other stuff. And I released a track on his label, Musical Freedom, and when I met him, it was like normal. And then you realize he's just a normal guy, and he's super humble, a super nice guy, and that's what makes him special into my eyes. Because a lot of artists can become very big, but a lot of artists are going to be like, oh, they're going to feel too cool for, I don't know, like they're going to walk next to their shoes. I don't know if it's you know what I mean. And Chester is a perfect example for an artist who stays true to himself, who stays true to his fans, and because of that, he's really an example for me. And
is there one thing that he said to you when he heard your songs? Well, maybe you should pay more attention to this, or look at that, or what did he tell you?
He gives me feedback about everything. If I have a new track, I'll send it around on Skype, like, hey, you've got some feedback, and of course I have feedback. If I hear a track, I've got some things which I would do different as well. So, and that's the nice thing about having an extra couple of ears listening to your track, because then you can also get a different vision on the track, and you can get some new feedback, maybe something which you wouldn't have thought about yourself.
Animals, you already mentioned the track. If you listen to the track now,
I'm so tired of it.
Yeah?
Yeah, of course. It started as a melody idea in my head. Then I worked like 20 hours, 25 hours on it, which is pretty fast if I compare it as how much time I spend on my other tracks. And I just heard it a million times already. Right now, if you put it on the radio, you still sometimes hear it over here, and I'm like, not this song again. But I'm super happy and super thankful, and how big the track has gotten and how much it has done to my career. Like if I compare with where we are right now to 1 year ago before Animals, it's crazy to see how much has actually happened.
Can you say now, well, maybe I should have done some parts of the song differently with the knowledge you have now?
No.
No, it's okay. Then it's a good track. Your roller coaster year, what has been the biggest difference for you if you compare it to your life previously?
The traveling, like I can get to travel the world, doing what I love to do and share my passion for music with other people. And this year it only became bigger. I could get to see more parts of the world. The shows have been way bigger. Like we have a few stadium shows where we sold like 10,000 tickets just by a solo show, which is crazy, and I couldn't even dream about 1 year ago. And it's crazy.
What is the nicest feedback you get from people who come to your shows?
It's not only people who come to my shows, but the nice thing is you create moments for people to remember. And like, music unites. If I look at a show, if I look into the crowd and I play a break with a vocal, like if I play Gold Skies, for example, I see the people sing along the lyrics. Some people cry out of happiness, and suddenly the whole crowd, even though they maybe not even know each other, turns into like one big family who parties, who jumps, who raves together, and that's amazing. That's what I love about music in general. It unites people, and that's what I love about doing shows. You just get to make people happy with doing what I love to do, and that's great.
And is it now that you work differently on tracks because you now actually have the feedback of the crowd? Is it something that you keep in mind when you work on new music?
I always make the tracks for myself. I want to stand fully behind the track before I even think about putting it out. And of course I'm testing out new tracks just to see how the crowd reacts, how the response is. But yeah, I don't know, like of course I test it out, but it's not that I'm like, oh, this track doesn't work live, so I'm not gonna release it.